Alright guys, I wanted to do my presentation over English language learners, also known as ELLs. I have some previous experience learning about English language learners in an undergrad class with Dr. Jones, which is TESOL, which is Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages. So I thought it'd be cool kind of just pick it up where I left off and try to figure out what's the best way to teach English language learners. But before we do that, we have to determine what English language learners are. English language learner is a student, adult, or person who does not speak English as their primary language, typically from countries outside of an English-speaking country. English language learners are typically associated with Hispanic-speaking students or individuals, but many other ethnicities and nationalities are included, just to name a few, such as Chinese, Japanese, German, etc. Before we can teach ELLs, we must understand them. According to an article from Miami University, the author states the total number of English language learners in the public schools is more than 4.5 million students, or 9.6% of the total school population. Not only do we need to know how many we have in our class as well as our entire school as a whole, but we must know the student's background, not only ethnically, but their language background and how well their literacy skills are. There were two methods I wanted to kind of introduce to you guys today. One is called the SIOP method, otherwise known as the sheltered instruction method. The second one is an sort of complex framework that a doctor or professor used for teaching ELLs that I thought was really great. I'll share that in the next few slides. But for the SIOP method, like I said, otherwise known as the sheltered instruction method, has been around for more than 20 years. At its core, SIOP is teaching English language learners academic English while simultaneously teaching them the standards that are required. This could be something like going through a history lesson with learning the information needed. Let's take, for example, we're learning about Pearl Harbor. We learn about Pearl Harbor, but in that we also work on vocabulary, language acquisition, spelling out words, using the syllables, all that sort of stuff. All students are taught with resources and support to make learning the language as seamless as possible. I found this interesting because you see a lot of times in a public school system that they'll have parapros for co-taught classrooms to help with some neurodivergent students, but I feel like for English language learners, they may just find an educator that is bilingual and kind of let them do it on their own when I feel like we all need a little bit of help at some point. Teaching using technology. Technology is a significant part of society today, and many educators utilize technology to make learning easier for students. You can go to any Troup County school today. We have Promethean boards, and we use Kahoots, and we have computer labs and the Chromebooks and all that sort of stuff. Well, for ELLs, nothing changes. Using technology has been proven by studies to increase learning in ELLs and make language acquisition easier. Where I got that information from is cited on my reference sheet. This is the doctor I was speaking about earlier, Dr. Carol Tomlinson. She made a layout of how to teach ELLs with technology by 3 steps: content, process, and product. So, I paraphrased the quotes because they were rather long, but for content, by using video lessons, online vocabulary tools, word maps, audio tools, English language learners are more equipped for language acquisition. For the process, students start the lesson in groups comprising of only English language learners, and then they have the opportunity to work through the work at their own pace. And later in the quote, it says they do this because it makes them feel more comfortable around students that not only they can communicate with, but that they understand they're struggling with the same things that they're struggling with. Finally, the product. English language learners have had the chance to write a report using English vocabulary they had acquired throughout the whole language experience, as well as the drill and practice exercises fostered through the Learning Center. So this goes back to step 1 with the content. By using video lessons, online vocabulary tools, they can write a report off of all the language acquisition they acquired during that lesson. And there are my references.